the 3A technology, which is being accepting, molding ourselves to be more aware, and then appreciating us that at least we made the mistake, because it's the outcome of that mistake that will create an effort to your next step of success. So better approachability to it. Of course, like we already have resilience coming in, you have great critical thinkers because you start thinking why I should not repeat the same mistake. And it also brings in a lot of responsibility and independence. If you do not allow the person to make and embrace a mistake, then he would always have the fear. And you don't want him to cling on to the fear, but you want him to evolve with the experiences that he is drawing and then getting to the achievable success outcome. So I think embracing a mistake is much more like loving yourself and saying, okay, you've made this, let's not do it again. Let's get aware, accept it, and then be calm so that it doesn't reoccur.
Absolutely right. But there are certain mistakes which are acceptable. There are certain mistakes which are not acceptable.
Absolutely.
And as an educator, we need to be aware. So I like to go to Ritu and I like to ask her, what mistakes do we make when we think about mistakes? And what type of mistakes should we expect and encourage? And which should we try to avoid?
Thank you, Kavita, for such a wonderful question. Before I answer your question, I would like to share a little poem with you people. If I didn't make the past mistakes, I wouldn't have learned. If I was broken by people, I wouldn't have appreciated the real ones. If I had always been rich, I wouldn't have acknowledged the worth of money. If I had never struggled, I wouldn't have known the power of hard work. And if the things would have always been perfect, I wouldn't have realized how imperfect I was. So, as you know, like nobody is perfect, but for many of us, finding out that we were wrong, if we can feel like threat to our self-identity if we commit some mistake. And when that happens, we are likely to act out in ways undermine us even more, such as arguing, blaming others, withdrawing, or even digging in our heels. For many of us, finding out that we were wrong can feel like threat to our self-identity. And what I feel normally, what we do, we surround ourselves with the information that matches our beliefs, and we tend like people who think like us. So for that, when we commit the mistake, I have few key points. It is better to take responsibility. If you have committed a mistake, always say that I was wrong. Like accept your situation. Never give excuses. Otherwise, other versions will minimize, your personal contribution. You will never learn what you have done in your during the situation. And second thing, what I would like to say is like always address that what you need to do to right now. Like taking the responsibility is critical rather than taking the action. And this is a core crisis communication. Always commit your mistake doesn't constitute a major crisis. Tell others what you are doing right now so that you can have the remedy of that mistake and you can distinguish the after and the before situations. And how can we overcome all these situations is like share what you will do differently next time, because when you do the self analyze and bring being wrong is very messy. So take some time to think about what your contribution was and identify how others also contributed in that situation. Then tell those impacted by your errors, like what you have learned about yourself and what you are going to do in different situations. Like very well said by Winston Churchill, all men make mistakes, but only wise men learn from their mistakes.
Absolutely. We have to be a learner. And you touched upon, how the student feels. Mistakes when done, they feel inferior, they feel let down.
Yes.
It hampers their confidence.
See, here I would like to add on one example as well. Like somebody, like if a GK teacher asks somebody, like who is the president of US, so the child answers Barack Obama, or who is the first president. So, like we have to encourage that wrong answer as well. That okay, that's true that he is the president of US. He was the former or the present one or the first one. So if sometimes the child gives the silly answers or the wrong answers, so instead of getting annoyed, what we should do, we should take it in a very positive way and tell them the right direction how to utilize that mistake to overcome with a solution and not to repeat it again in the next time.
Yes, definitely. That's a good example which has been quoted. And I like to go to Shanoli, and I like to ask her, you know, mistakes when not handled properly result in inferiority complex. Kills the confidence of a child. So my question to you is, how can a teacher respond to a mistake done by a student?
Yeah, thank you, Kavita. That's a very good question. First of all, a teacher should provide with proper feedback and on time to a student's error. Secondly, a teacher must give the feedback in an efficient way so that the student does not get hurt or his confidence and self-esteem does not be low. And third is that teachers should encourage the student to find and rectify their own mistakes. A teacher can also use the peer checkup methods in the classroom, where one student can check up the response of another student, and if there is any mistake, they can rectify. So this also will enhance the collaborative learning method and also encourage students to build their confidence. And last but not the least, if in a class majority of students are making mistakes, that should be a guidance for the teachers also, whether they are delivering their knowledge or the instructions in proper way or not, or they should rectify themselves. So that should be a guiding lesson for the teachers also. So in this way, I think teacher can make the mistakes of the students way to be the learning in a powerful method to apply. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such beautiful words, wisdom words, I would say. Uh, Due to some technical glitch, we missed out the initial part of YouTube Live. So the introduction part, I'll invite Sunanda to please take it. Uh,
Good afternoon, everyone. So we all learn from mistakes, and obviously there are certain times that technical glitches happen, which is beyond our control. Sometimes network doesn't come, but somehow thank you, Lakshmi ji, Subbalakshmi ji, for highlighting this. Well, just to inform every one of you what exactly we are coming up with is, today we are witnessing the episode 9 of Myths and Facts series, and you already know us, Kavita and Sunanda. We are here together to envisage and having a mission to impact 1.3 million students by end of 2022. These are the editions that we have printed. As all of you know, Career Beacon is a print magazine, and everything is on careers. And this Myths and Facts series is purely a derivative of all the suggestions that we have received from the subscribers, from the viewers, from the people who have given the feedback during our complete videos, whatever we were shooting, and the speakers, that they would like to come up with something unique, which is not happening everywhere, something to burst on the debunks. And we have ensured that a 10 episode series is curated. In the first series, we invited all the IT teachers of different schools, and they spoke about how technology can be used to deliver a better learning theories. In the second episode, when we entered, we thought of, since it was a time where the schools were in the dilemma whether to open, not to open. In fact, the government has given the go order. So there also we have invited many of the teachers, and we spoke about, is it safe to send the children to the school before the vaccine hits to the market? And it was a big no. Followed by that, since JEE NET results have come out and people were soaring 100%, it was giving a psychological break. So all our beautiful speakers, they spoke about that, what is the psychological outbreak of cutoff soaring 100%. Then we enter into the fourth episode, where we spoke about a very sensitive topic, the role of educators in preventing the, how to respond to the child abuse, how child abuse can be taken into the consideration and minimize it. Followed by that, we actually spoke about that soft skills should be a part of the curriculum, that what should be there. And our speakers have given 10 soft skills which should be a part of the curriculum. Followed by that, we actually took a little more deeper into it, that what are the challenges and the opportunities of the innovative learning models in the K-12 education. And followed by that, we had another series where we spoke about cultivating the teacher-student relationship with a high quality, high expectation relationship as a lever for a better learning. That was the episode. And last week, we spoke about how teachers are motivating the students to be efficient during the crisis as students are getting gloomy and sad. And to take it further, today we have another five beautiful speakers who are speaking on supporting students to learn from the mistakes. And with this, I would like to invite the host of Kavita, who has been hosting this show, that she is a person who has actually mentored several students, over 3.5K students, and 498 professionals with the mid-career mentoring. She is the co-founder for Concept Career Guidance, associate editor for the Career Beacon. This is the first ever India's magazine which talks about the careers. Everyone talks about the competitions, what is happening, how to prepare for it. But this is a ready reckoner for a person who is not able to get into the career guidance activities. And believe me, all of you, we are going to bring a super excited episode next week wherein you will find all the speakers, all your favorite speakers who have spoken, and every one of you have given a feedback about the speakers, that who should be called to this, again in the mega episode. And based on your choice, we have invited those speakers. That would be the concluding episode, but yes, with a common theme, that how to develop a growth mindset. So please stay tuned. And with this, I welcome Kavita to take the question answer round further. Thank you so much, Kavita.
Thank you, Sunanda. It's always a pleasure to be in Myth and Fact series. I like to quickly introduce the speakers again. Uh, our first speaker is Shanoli Ray. She's a principal, Satyamev Jayate Primary School, Haldia, West Bengal. Her biggest achievement is develop the ability to mentor people of various backgrounds and intelligence level to ease their lives. Our second speaker is Heena Paleja. She is academic supervisor, Thakur International School, IGCSE A-level, Mumbai. Her biggest achievement is to have reached the milestone of heading academics in an international curriculum. With that, we have beautiful Raina Khatri Tandon. She's a founder, CEO, Right to Rise, Mumbai. Her biggest achievement is creating an internship academy for youth, and my company, Right to Rise. And with that, we have Ritu Kadian, PGT teacher, Royal Oak International School, Gurugram. Biggest achievement is playing an instrumental role in nurturing my students in achieving success in personal and professional level. And with that, our fifth speaker, Jency JothiManoharan. She is a teacher, SRV International School, Rasipuram, Tamil Nadu. And her biggest achievement is, she says, I had the courage to follow my dream of becoming a teacher in spite of odds. And I have been building students to become kind, caring, and responsible. So with that, I'm inviting all the speakers again, and we move to the our question and answers round. We have already taken one question with all the speakers, and as we move further, I like to go to Hina and ask her how teachers can use mistakes to allow and promote learning.
Yes, thank you, Kavita ji, for the question. I would like to add up with my personal experience over here from the daily classroom that we have, like simple things when we have taken up small tests in class. Okay, so when we discuss these tests, we discuss the questions, what the common mistakes that the students have done. Then we point out that what mistakes somebody else has taken up. And that is how we give these examples in class, so as to allow the children to learn, to promote learning from others' mistakes also, not from my own mistakes. So there are children who will say, okay, you've done this, I will remember this, I will not do that mistake. There are very often, there are these a few set of children who are not very extrovert in asking questions. They're a little introvert. So with other people's mistakes, they see that and they learn. They know that, okay, fine, even if I have not asked, I know I'm not supposed to do this. So This is, for me, mistakes is a source of understanding for the students. And as teachers, I believe we can create a mistake-friendly learning atmosphere where, where children are not ashamed of admitting that they have made this mistake. I've had students who say, "Ma'am, please don't give my marks to the class. I don't want this to be told to my classmates." But then, we have to encourage children in sharing their mistakes and admit that, okay, doing a mistake is not a sin. Okay, it's but natural because we are human beings. So I believe we should not just correct a mistake, but make sure that the students recognize and understand the reason for their mistakes. So in class, this is how, as teachers, we can promote learning by making children understand what is the mistake. And this is how the students will be able to learn. So motivating our students not to give up and to continue to work on the correct solution is what I will say.
Absolutely, providing that environment. I think that's a teacher responsibility. That child is open to accept the responsibility of a mistake, and then only when the acceptance is there, then they can improve and promote their learning. Wonderful, Heena. Absolutely. So, but with that, there's one question that comes to my mind. I like to go to Jency for that. How can we help them understand that learning from mistake is part of healthy development? Because there's a taboo of being perfect or something. So I want your perspective, Jency, on that.
Okay. I think we can help students understand that learning from mistakes is essential. It's a part of development, and that comes under an emotional learning. So whenever there is a content delivery, the teachers can do it easily. But when it comes to character development and emotional development, the only way we can do is to model it for them. So the way we react to mistake, the way we react when we make a mistake, it carries so much information to the kids. We should first of all avoid having any prejudice about the children. I'm reminded of Einstein's quote. He says, "It's a very depressing time we live in. It's very easy to break an atom, but it's not easy to break prejudice." So we should stop branding the kids, and we should, give them a chance to learn from their mistakes, and that's when they do it. So we should share success stories with children. We can talk about how Harry Potter was in a pile of junk before it started minting money, and we can talk so much about that. And we can also talk about ourselves. We would have had so many mistakes in the past. We can talk about us. They relate to it better. So when they see such stories of success, they will be they'll be feeling good that mistakes are an essential part of growth. And even if I make a mistake today, it's not going to put me into a pit. I can still come up and I can still do wonders. So ultimately, I think we should start modeling it for the children, and we should talk, share beautiful stories that gives them hope.
That's so beautiful, Jency. Even I believe that as a parent also, we should be sharing our mistakes with the children so that they can learn from it and they see it, it's part of growing. It is part of growing, and there's nothing wrong that even we as a parent did mistake, and even teachers sharing it. It's absolutely beautiful. It gives a courage to a child to speak up, I would say. So with that, one thing that comes, again, the structure currently, it affects the child's self-esteem. If you say them, they did the mistake every time, he's doing a mistake or she is doing a mistake. But one thing that is, people touch upon is self-compassion. I like to go to Raina and I like to ask her how self-compassion helps in learning from mistake.
Kavita, I think self-compassion is a very beautiful element. With whatever Heena and Jency have shared, yes, they are ways and means of reaching a child's heart. But once you've always told them, you've narrated to them, you've told them all the stories, you've brought them everything, they still have this small element in them. Am I good enough? Can I love myself? That being mindful, being gentle, giving kindness and love to yourself is the first thing we should teach a child. I think once you try and reframe them from one, criticism. Second, telling them that, mama and papa are still successful today. But as a child, there were these silly stories where even we used to be really, really crazy, just like you. We used to be like this, like that. We dropped out. We even failed. We don't need to castigate ourselves. We need to be vulnerable there. It's okay to be smaller than them when you're explaining this, because that makes them feel stronger. That, okay, it's okay that I can do that. Okay, it's not about showing how bad mama and papa is, but also telling them that, we've gone through the same journey. Empathize, accept your own feelings. It's okay if you want to cry, cry it out. It's okay if you feel that, I've not done good enough. It's fine. It's okay if you feel that you're not okay. That's also good. Learn from your mistakes. Don't keep dwelling on them and thinking, oh, again, mama, I still get reminded that I failed. Oh, again, I feel that, I'm not good enough. The only way to get out of that is to give some love to yourself, be gentle, and also be honest. I think it's always about three elements of compassion: be mindful and accepting, be gentle, and be honest. The minute you're honest, the next step is you start focusing on how do I change? And then you start ask. How do I do this? How do I get this? How do I fearlessly get this? How do I practice this? The next step is focusing on the hows. So I would say self-compassion is the key to being mindful, being gentle, being honest, and they open three locks. Again, move fearlessly, move confidently, and be able to accept the next step of success.
Absolutely, such a beautifully said. One thing I would say, it's about the way you have mentioned that as a parent, as a teacher, we should share our stories, that we also in our childhood made mistakes and all. That itself give that it's okay and it is accepted by my parents, by my teachers, that I'm making a mistake and it's normal. Only thing I have to learn from it. I think that's the only thing we need to transfer to them. We have to learn and we have to grow. Um, with that, I like to go, when I said we have to learn and we have to grow, I like to go to Ritu and put this question to her. How mistakes help us to learn?
Thank you, Kavita, once again. And I wholeheartedly believe that good judgment comes from good experiences and making efforts. And mistakes are an important part of learning process, because without this, life is impossible. Because everybody has, as Ms. Raina has said, like this is very much important to share the things with the children, because what you have gone through is the best example to share with your kids and the students as well. And mistakes help us to learn, and real learning isn't usually easy. And when we use the teaching methods, so at that center or errors may lay learning, and the challenges which are faced by the teachers are it should be very self sufficient to give them the live examples. And when you share your own examples, it gives them a clarity in their process, and they learn very quickly. Here I would like to share two small stories. Like we know about Michael Jordan, the baseball player, and he is
Yes.
called a legend. And his quotation during his retirement was, I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my careers. I have lost almost 300 games, 26 times. I have been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. So that means when a child will not, lose something, and he himself would feel that he has to do the efforts to gain again and again, then only he will succeed. And one more thing, like Thomas Edison also faced the same thing. Like a reporter asked him, sir, like you like failed 10,000 times. So why this happened like that? And what was his answer? He said, like, it wasn't 10,000 failures. Those were the 10,000 steps I took to have this successful experiment. So in that way, like we can make the children very positive, because without mistakes, this is not an easy task, because this is the vital part of growing up. In fact, research shows that kids learn more and more from making mistakes, because once they go through that phase, then only they will come to know what exactly they have done. They will do the self analysis. Yes, they need the guides, and teachers and elders are the guide, those who can direct them in a very good path. And that is why, Einstein also said the same thing: anyone who has never made a mistake had never tried anything new. So for new things, we have to go through this phase.
Absolutely. And I would like to quote, you all are giving such beautiful quotes. So that reminds me of our being a psychology background. I'll give Carl Jung, who is known as one of the legends in psychology. Anyone who's done psychology will know Carl Jung. So he said, knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon errors also. So unless and until you make mistakes, you will not learn so many.
And that's true. Otherwise, Walt Disney was not Walt Disney, or Charlie Chaplin wasn't Charlie Chaplin.
Yes.
So we have so many people as an inspiration and the motivational like examples for kids, and we can tell them. So they should not feel inferior at the time when they make the mistakes. So we have to make them like, as a teacher, what I feel is, what we do, we put star charts on our wallpapers, right? And we tell them, like, those who are doing very well, we will put their names there. Why not those children, those who commit the mistake and then overcome that problem themselves and show their best potential to be a good human being or a good person, and not to repeat all those like mistakes again in the future? Why not to put their names on the wall, so that they will also feel, it will be an appreciation and motivation for them too, that now they are setting an example after doing such wrong things or silly mistakes, and now they have overcome those things and their name has been displayed there. So in that way also, like, it is a kind of encouragement which we could give in the classes as well.
There's a saying from Henry C. Link, very well known in this thing. He says, while one person hesitates because he feels inferior, and the other is busy making mistakes and becoming superior. So that is something that we need to be boosted in.
Very
But
true.
how, I like to go to Shanoli for that, and I like to ask her, what are the ways of encouraging mistakes in the classroom?
Yeah. First of all, as already been discussed, the teachers should acknowledge in the class that they don't want their students to be perfect, like a robot. They don't want robots in the class. They want normal human beings who will do mistakes in the class. And then teachers should mentor their students that whenever you do mistake, you just admit it, so that teacher can rectify their mistakes, and they also make them understand what went wrong, so that the students learn something from their mistake and do not repeat the same mistake again. Try not to repeat the same mistake again. Also, teachers should give works that encourage mistakes. And when the students are trying to solve those problems or trying to do those works, teachers should genuinely praise their effort, that they are at least they are trying to do something. So this way, ultimately, their confidence will boost up, and they will, as teachers or educators, they will be nurtured properly from a young age, so that when they grow up, they have the self-confidence to rectify their mistakes, identify their mistakes, and which will help them to develop a successful life path and successful career in the future. As also being discussed, the best way is to give examples. Teachers can give their own example of, at the young age, what mistakes they have done in the school or in their life, which the students should not repeat, because these are the consequences they have been gone through because of these mistakes and all. So this way they can encourage and embrace the students' learning through the various mistakes they will make, and they can rectify That is the main important part. The students should learn to identify and rectify their mistakes from a young age, so that when they grow up, they can have the ability to solve the problems of their own life, or wherever they are heading to in their job or life path, wherever they are heading to. They have that confidence when they grow up. So that is how, from the early age, I think teachers should motivate and encourage students to learn from their mistakes.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful having interacting with such beautiful panelist speakers. And thank you for enlightening us. As a person, I would, I connect with a childhood as a parent, and we all know childs are so beautiful when they're starting to, trying to walk or stand. They do a lot of mistakes. They fumble upon, they crawl, they take the support. But these mistakes, I would say, they help them to stand and walk and even run when they grow up. So this is exactly how learning is. You fumble upon, you take a support, that is your teachers, parents, or your peers, and at times you will fall down, but you will see if you continue to learn, you will be running one day. And that's the whole beauty of learning from the mistakes. And with that, I like to move to the exciting round of myth and facts. And I like to invite Sunanda for that. Sunanda, she's the founder of Concept. She's a managing editor, Career Beacon, convener of National Career Counselors Network. She has been awarded Indian Icon Award 2019 for her efforts and impacting youth through her career guidance projects. And she has been also impacting youth through a national newspaper, Amar Ujala, where she's a regular columnist. She's writing the columns over there on career. And yes, she comes with 17 years of HR background. So that adds to her forte, and number of certification in this psychometric assessment that helps us to her to understand how to deal with an individual personalities, because we are unique. We have our own set of strengths, and we need to play on our strength. So with that, I like to invite Sunanda. She has impacted over a lakhs now of students, and we are getting closer and closer to our target of impacting 1.3 million youth. And Sunanda will be taking myth and facts round. It's always a pleasure to attend it, because that's a rapid fire one and we all are waiting for it. Sunanda, please come and take it over.
Thank you so much. Welcome all the beautiful speakers and all the viewers who are tuned with us on YouTube. So that actually shows that yes, this show is really impacting somewhere the lives. Well, our target is to impact students, but definitely the students are impacted when a main thread of them, that is a teacher, is impacted or an educator is impacted. Well, we have many of the myths around education, and in during this session, we are going to debunk, or we will prove whether it's in reality or a myth. So I will not go alphabetically, I'll go in the reverse order. So first question goes to Shanoli. The question is, gifted and talented students make fewest mistakes. Is it a myth or a reality?
It is completely a myth, I think, because gifted and talented students may learn very fast from other students, but while executing the work, they will make mistakes. Like while learning the things, they may do the mistakes as ordinary children do. So that is completely a myth for me.
Okay, so this was first speaker who said that gifted and talented students make fewest mistake is a complete myth. With this, let me welcome Raina. Raina, teachers are like doctors and are expected to be mistake free. Is it a myth or a reality?
So teachers like doctors are normal human beings. They are expected to make a mistake just like you, me, and children are. I don't see them any different. I remember watching this interesting TED talk, which I want all of you to watch. There's Brian Goldman. and he was a doctor. And he's the first doctor who has come on TED and said he believes that medicine will become so much better today if doctors are allowed to say what mistakes they make in the operation theater. But only thing he fears is that if he goes and says that, then people will start bashing him up. Just like I, being a legal practitioner, not allowed to even say what mistakes we do in front of the court hearings. One thing I can only say, never be judgmental, never give negative comments. Trust on the top. Trust in discussions, ownership and openness, and don't stop your perceptions to overcome with your beliefs. If you work on the top, I'm sure teachers, students, doctors are expected to make any umpteen number of mistakes, including the children. We have the inner child in us. Let us live it.
That's so beautiful, Raina, and that reminds me of my Rajni ma'am who was teaching me in class 6, the English. In one of the Teachers' Day speech, she said, डॉक्टर्स की कमी छिप जाती है एक लाश के साथ, इंजीनियर की कमी एक ब्रिज के नीचे आ जाती है, लेकिन टीचर्स की कमी देश के ऊपर उभरती है. So, it's the teachers who really make the difference. Of course, we cannot, to error is human, but yes, as a teacher, as a doctor, I still believe that people see that as a role model and they ensure that we are not doing any mistakes. But again, to error is human. If we cannot do an error and if we cannot learn from it, that's a big question. Now with this, let me move to Ritu. Focus on one subject at a time. Is it a myth or a reality?
Thank you, Sunanda ji. This is a belief actually. Doing only one thing at a time is a surprisingly powerful way to become more productive. But exactly the truth is, as we have studied also, like the type of material you study in a single sitting leaves a deeper impression, right? And on the brain that just concentrating on one subject. But here I would like to add on, if we go to gym and every day you have to do the sit-ups for 2 hours or 3 hours, will it be fine or will it be boring? So,
It would be boring.
doing one thing every day and doing it on an alternate day. So it gives you, every day you want something new. So there should be a time limit for it. It should not be like we should not stick on one time for the whole time. And it is same. So rather alternate between different muscles and types of exercise we do in gym. So it's a complete myth that focusing on one subject at one time will be fruitful.
So you gave a very diplomatic answer. Neither you said it's a myth, neither a reality. You simply said it's a belief, and of course it would be boring. But my ideology on in this differs from Kavita, because Kavita is more on one thing at a time. Let's sort one thing and let's go to the other thing. And I am like multitasking, and I often land up doing the mistake. Okay, let me come to Jency here. Jency, perfectionists make better workers. Is it a myth or a reality?
Call it a big myth because perfection itself is an ongoing process. Like as long as we live, there is something we need to learn and improve on. So I don't believe that we attain perfection at any point. But I would say that even myself, when I was a new teacher, I only looked for mentors who said, "Hey, I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. Come, let's learn together." I believe such people, and I took them as mentors. So I believe that being perfect does not make you any you can't call yourself perfect in the first place, but we need to strive to attain perfection. That needs to be there, but we don't really move to a place where we become perfect. I think that takes us to a comfort zone and it keeps us from taking any further risks. So a big myth.
Oh, great. So you're very clear that it's a myth. Now, with this, let me go to Heena asking this question. Your first answer is often the right answer. This is something that we often tell to the people when we are asking them to attend the psychometric test, that if you don't know the answer to a particular question, because it's an objective type question and we are evaluating on the personality, so people get confused whether I am a flamboyant or am I a person who's doing this. So with the 4 words that are given in the psychometric, students actually get often struck in that. And most often I'll hear Kavita saying to the student, first click whatever is coming is your answer, so go for it. So here I would like to know from you whether it is a myth or a reality.
Yes, I will have a mixed feeling here. I will just say, often when we hear people say, trust your instincts, is just what you, as you rightly said, while making decisions also. In the first place, when we say, there are some quotes also which say, always trust your first gut instincts, because if you feel in your heart and your soul that something is wrong, it probably is. Never discredit your gut instinct. You are not paranoid. Your body can pick up only bad vibrations or good vibrations. If something deep inside you says something is not right about a person or a situation or something, we must trust it. While this may be a very useful fact to bring about and to discuss in an academic discussion like today, anyone who has ever made a decision in real life will probably not totally agree with this, because I've come across several people who've said, I remember times where I made a correct choice, then I changed it, I changed my mind, and then I was wrong. So it all depends from person to person. I feel it is a mixture of myth and a fact, because sometimes the first instincts are actually correct. And actually the problem lays in where figuring we need to figure out when to trust yourself and when to change course. So as I said, it's a mixed feeling. Like, for example, I'll just give cite one more last example of my students. In class also, when they write their paper, we always tell them, check your paper before you submit, please check that you've written everything well or not. And most of the times I have had children coming up to me and say, I knew it the first time I had written it right. When I checked my paper, I changed my answer and now it is wrong. So that is how it is.
Yeah, that's reality. In fact, the first feeling is the gut feeling, and very well written book by Chetan Bhagat, Hello, which says that the first thing voice that comes to us is the God's voice, which is there in her voice. I did the same mistake today, and I heard somebody when I was thinking about that thing, and while I was listening to your answer, I can relate where was my mistake. See, we learn from mistakes. Now, let me go back to the second set of myths and facts. And here I'm coming back to Shanoli. Here, the question is, success reached by using failures as stepping stone. Is it a myth or a reality?
Yeah, it is a reality. The more you make mistakes, the more you learn from your mistakes, and the more you learn from your mistake, you start to see things in a different perspective, actually. Ultimately, which builds your confidence and self-esteem, and which leads to you in the success, in the ladder of success in later life. So it's completely a reality for me.
Yeah, that's true. Even I agree to it. But at the same time, I remember of my Danish boss who was saying, put the thing saying that, whenever she said to the student, please check up the answer, and the answer gets wrong in the second instant, it happens when you are recorrecting itself, you are doing more mistakes. With this, let me go to Rena. We are failing, we are not making any progress. So is it a myth or a fact?
Failure itself is a stepping stone to success. I think we have such an old saying that, but it's not by accident. Success always comes with hard work, with a lot of perseverance, what you love doing, studying, sacrificing, doing all the learning behind it. I have only realized that my success today is only with all the learnings of my life. People who teach you good and bad things, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, because they both are contributors in your growth mindset. But kids are failing and they feel that they are not progressing is only a myth. Failure is only a mindset. Stop complaining, start behaving maturely, think about what causes that failure, and be resilient to be adaptable. There is something that you need to change, focus on that, and you will find yourself progressing. Even a small move from A to B is good enough than for you to think you're not moving from A to Z. So I would say a grateful heart is more peaceful than a complaining mind.
Wow,
Okay.
that's so beautiful, Rena. That stepping stone should be the small so that we can measure the progress. And with this, I would like to share this with all the viewers, all the subscribers of Career Beacon, that from 2021, we are adding one more slug to our magazine, that is your failure story. Because often we hear about the stories of success and we get inspired. But believe me, when we are hearing the failure stories, then that means that we are actually setting an example to the person. Hey guys, today I'm successful because I have learned from that mistake. So all the viewers, all the subscribers, all the people who would like to contribute an article for the magazine and who would like to speak during our failure stories, which is the next upcoming series very shortly, which we'll be announcing. I would like to tell you that this is something where you have to be honest and you have to share about your failure, that how it happened and what have you learned from it. With this, let me go to Ritu. Rereading material is a good way to learn. Is it a myth or a fact?
It's a myth, because rereading doesn't mean that you are going to do good in that way. Because what I feel, like normally what happens when even we people, when we go to some meeting and we keep on just rereading the points and the key points and the value points, what we have jotted down and all. So what happens for that time frame, it remains in your mind. But what about the assessment? So what I feel is reviewing your notes or proposal, this is a passive approach. So, like most of the students, what they do, they just keep on cramming the things again and again whenever they go for the examination. It is better, like it will be highly effective approach when they would learn through various ways. Like instead of rereading, they could highlight their notes. They can have their value points. They can go for the mind maps, underlining information, and then they can assess themselves with the online quiz or the quiz or simple test. So assessments are also required instead of rereading, because that is the cramming part only. Because as a teacher, what I feel, when you have your self assessments, and that way you could give the better results. So it's a complete myth.
Okay, but here I have a question. Sometimes we say that we have to paraphrase what the person has said, right? So rereading is reading out the same thing. But when we are paraphrasing something, for example, you said, Sunanda, if we are reading again the same points, we are not adding to a value. But again, if I am paraphrasing it, what is it? Is it an active listening or is it a passive
This
listening?
is required. This is required, but on the other way, like if we talk about like rereading again and again, it will be like it will be there in your mind. But what about the things on the different aspects? When one thing is stuck in your mind, so how you're going to stuck whether it is right or wrong? So that means assessment is actually required. I know, like it will freeze in your mind that one thing you are reading like repeatedly, but even then you need some other things also, like for highly effective outcomes you have to go for the other ways also.
Okay, so it's a myth, but at the same time, for certain conditions or when you're listening, it
Yeah,
could
it
be.
depends upon the situation as well. Like if it is required you can, but if I talk about the normal procedure, so other things are also there which can help you to really learn.
Thank you so much, Ritu. With this, let me move to Jency. Jency, failure should be avoided at all the costs. Is it a myth or a reality?
I would say it's a myth, and I'm sure everyone is going to agree with me on that. Because failure, if I'm afraid to fail, I'm not going to try anything new, and I'm going to do things that are within my reach and within my knowledge. There's no question of what next do I learn and what next do I do, what more. There's no question of that. And I'm going to be complacent if I'm afraid to fail. I'm really going to be where I am. I'm just going to be stagnant, and probably I'll be basking in the glory of my previous successes, but not try anything new. And if it is in our mindset, it's all the more dangerous. If the teacher feels that failure should be avoided, it's all the more dangerous, and it keeps children from discovering themselves, and also, it stops them from exploring themselves. So I think it is a myth, and I believe everybody would accept that too.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. And let me come to Hina here. We have set learning. We all have a set learning style. Is it a myth or a reality?
Thank you. According to me, it's a total myth because we do not have set learning styles. If you see in today's uh, schooling systems also, we have a lot of different ways of teaching. There are teachers who are giving in PowerPoint presentations. We have smart boards in schools. We have videos. We have virtual reality, which is coming up. In fact, if we look at the current scenario, the lockdown, okay, this pandemic has given us so many different ways of learning. So we as teachers, probably most of us did not know what to do in this situation. We learned through technology. We have been learning through books. We have been learning different styles. Looking at our classrooms also, we have children who are known as visual learners. They learn with smart boards, they learn with whiteboards, they see and they learn. We also have auditory learners, so these auditory learners, they tend to learn better when the subject matter is reinforced by sound. So while speaking, so around us, there are so many ways where we learn with different kind of things. There are kinesthetic learners in our class as well. Kinesthetic learners, they are called tactile learners. They learn through experiencing, doing things. So they might be very good with scientific terms because they're actually doing those kind of experiments in class. They might need breaks in between for studying, but yes, they like, they do like all of these things. We will also find learning with reading and writing. Okay, so there are people who, they write into their diaries for remembering certain things. They would like to just read something and remember. So I will say, we as teachers, we are embracing all kind of learners, and we as teachers, we are also embracing all kind of learnings. So understanding these different learning styles is doesn't end in the classroom. It is beyond the classroom. We find it everywhere around us. Sometimes we've watched something in the news, and that is how we've learned. Sometimes we've read something. Sometimes we've learned out of our own experiences. So I feel, we're not a set kind of learners. We learn through different modes. That's what I will
Perfect.
say.
So what you're saying is, we all, there are obviously there are 7 theories which goes that these are the 7 types of learning, and depending upon the situation, depending upon the syllabus or the topic, the learning style differs. So it is not one set of learning style, that if I am an audio visual learner, so I will be only learning through the audio visual. It depends upon situation to situation. Well, that is a very important thing that is there. Now, one more thing that I would like to ask all the speakers, this is a common myth, and I would like you to restrict yourself only to the 45-second answer. I'll go in the same manner. I'll start with Shanoli and I'll come and land up with Heena. The question here is the number of hours that we put into something that translates to better understanding. Is it a myth or a reality? I hope my myth is absolutely clear. So please share, is it a myth or a reality, and your thing. Do not repeat what other speaker has said, because your perspective would be entirely different. So
Yeah,
Shanoli.
actually, I my perspective is different. I thought it is a reality, because the more we indulge ourselves in a particular thing, the more we go deep inside that matter, and our learning becomes easier, and we understand that matter quite well. So I think it's a reality that we should indulge ourselves into the deep inside of a matter, and give some hours into learning in
Okay.
into a particular situation or matter.
Thank you, Shanoli. Let me take a legal view from Raina. What exactly is your thoughts on this? Whether the number of hours that we put into something translate to the better understanding? Voice, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
I think I totally differ from this. So I'm on the opposite side. It's not that if you sit on the desk for 10 hours, you convert it into proper learning. It's not about whether you read number of 10 chapters, then you can convert that as results. It's about focus on what do you really want to deliver. If you can convert what you study at 1 hour into 50% and more, then absolutely you're great, because that's good enough. As of now, life teaches us life skills, life teaches us how we need to be adapting to new technology. So it's not important that you learn everything as a whole as a bunch of hours. It is about what is that you can make a bouquet of the 4 5 things you study, and can you deliver them as results. So I feel that the number of hours doesn't decide your success, but the focus and your mindset of what you really want to be today converts you to the person you are and the personality you want to become.
Wow. So there are two different perspectives. Let's go to Ritu and let's take her perspective on this particular topic.
My perspective, I do agree with Raina as well, because my belief is quantity doesn't matter, quality should be there. So one should study in a very smart way, that in very less time, it should be very short and crispy, but to the point, so that the concepts, like we have to go for the conceptual studies, and it should be clear in your mind. but it should be full of knowledge as well. So in today's scenario, like what I feel is spending a lot of hours on one particular point is like it's not acceptable in my way. So I feel the smart study. So study smart, and you'll need to spend less time for studying.
Wow, that's really good. So, Kavita, we are doing the right thing. For every student that we mentor, we ensure that they're a part of our Study Smart group so that, the smart tips can be shared. And Ritu, I'm so thankful to you that you are actually reinforcing the same thing. With this, let me move to Jency and have her views, whether it's a myth or a reality.
I would say the whether it's a myth or a reality lies in the student investing the time. Because I cannot call it a myth or a fact because it depends on the quality of the time that the child is putting in. If every minute that you invest is giving you a new insight, then definitely you're going deeper and not going it over and over again. And in that case, I think it is very valuable. When you're going it over and over again, it's just a rote learning, and we don't have to do that. And that's where we need to be smart learners. But if the concept requires you to go deeper every time you read, you're getting a new insight. I think every minute we invest is valuable and it's worth it.
Wow, a new perspective altogether. Let me ask Hina. Hina, what do you think about this, whether it's a myth or a reality?
Yes, I agree with Jency. I also feel it is a mixture. So over here, I will say rather than what Miss Ritu also said, rather than doing donkey's work, okay, there are children who do smart work. Okay, I'll study for half an hour and then I have to ask for my play. So they know how to make use of the time that they have. Whereas there are other children who will sit, they will get distracted, they will look here, they will look there. They don't want to do things on time, and then we need to pester them. Okay, come on, child, do it for some time, and then you can go. So it all depends for how you do it, and it all depends from person to person, is what I will say. So I feel it is a mixture of myth and a fact both.
Okay, so that was all the beautiful ladies who gave the perspective. And with this, let me invite Kavita to ask what is her say in this? The number of hours that you put in something translate to the better understanding. Is it a myth or a reality?
For me, it is depending on the task I'm supposed to do. The subjects I need to have a better understanding. There are certain subjects which need a long hours and number of hours, especially something that involves your physical understanding of physical, your physical, I would say, efforts are needed more. So in that say, smart working will not work there. There you have to put the number of hours to understand the game, to understand what is needed, to understand the kind of efforts that is needed. But when it comes to a cognitive study which is there, cognitive learning which is there, in that again, we have some fast learners, we have some not that fast learners. So for smart learners, hours are not the criteria for them. Getting the task, you say you have to learn 2 chapters or 3 chapters, and they can be back by half an hour or 1 hour, they do the smart learning. But yes, for certain students, that hours are needed because they need to put in their heart into it. They are not that fast learner, they don't grasp the thing. So so it is like we are unique in ourselves, our unique needs are there. So is the learning has a different needs also. This is my perspective to this particular question.
Very well said. See, there are six speakers right now, and they have got a different view altogether. For me, putting long hours doesn't actually mean that you will become good in something. Sometimes, I'm a writer. When I am writing something as a ghost writer, I see when I'm putting long number of hours, my perspective of the first sentence changes by the time I have concluded the sitting of that particular article or any story that I am writing. So it depends, as all of you have said, depending upon the context that how you're looking at. At times you are ideating something, and by the time you have finally ideated, it is a different shape altogether. So for 9 series, actually we thought about that we would be bringing a mega series on the 10th day, and we will be doing with some bombastic speakers, this, that, and everything. But while we were evaluating the feedbacks and the comments in the comment box of the YouTube, as well as the feedback from the speakers, we felt, all the speakers who have really done well and someone who has got really good votes should be called again to this Myths and Facts series. And let's have the 10th series and the 10th episode with the speakers who have been voted best. Now, all the viewers who are watching us, you need to tell me that who are the speakers to whom you would like to have in the 10th episode. The topic is already shared, that how to develop a growth mindset, and you have to back it with the answer. And all of you are requested to please subscribe to our channel, because we are coming up with an year-end offer, and believe me, you're going to get a very great offer to everyone. It is not in terms of the discount and everything, but for 2021 you will have a very good guiding principle. With this, let me invite Kavita back to the session. Kavita, before I wrap up the session, ask the speakers to conclude on this, I would like you to felicitate people, and after the felicitation, we can ask everyone to conclude the complete session.
Thank you, Sunanda. And it is so wonderful to have different perspective. That's the beauty of it. We are appreciating and embracing the differences that we have in perspective, and beautifully taken by each and everyone. So with that, we conclude the 9th episode. And here we capture certain moments during the webinar. So this is the moment for all of us together in single screen we have captured. And we go with our speaker, Heena. And Heena, this is a small token of gratitude and a small token of appreciation from our side for being with us at this Myth and Fact series.
That is, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and this platform too. Thanks to both of you, Sunanda ji, Kavita ji, and Career Beacon.
It's a pleasure to have interaction with such speakers, those who bring so much of insight and perspective to the conversation. With that, we have the youngest Jency with us, and she added true value to us. Jency, absolutely wonderful to have you. Small token of gratitude, love from our side.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kavita, Ms. Sunanda, and the Career Beacon team. Thank you for this opportunity.
We had Raina Khatri Tandon with us, and I was smiling face she has. Raina, thank you for being with us. Small token of love and appreciation, and for the wonderful quotes that you have been quoting.
Thank you so much, Kavita. Thank you so much, Sunanda. I think it was not a small token, it was a very huge token. I loved the aura of all the lovely ladies here, and you and Sunanda ji for being around. I would only say one sentence before I exit this, is that failure is always going to be a part of us. It's going to be a journey. Never stop at wherever you are. Keep trying, trying, trying. I'm sure the next ray of sun will be a sunshine. So it will be a sunshine soon. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So beautiful quote that you have quoted. With that, we have Ms. Ritu with us, and Ms. Ritu Kadian, and it was absolutely wonderful to have you. Pleasure having you, and small token of love and gratitude from us.
Thank you, Kavita ji and Sunanda ji, for giving us this platform. And really, like virtually, we are here, and there was not even a single moment like we were feeling disconnected to each other. Like it was a very interactive session, and it was wonderful experience. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks to Career Beacon.
Thank you. Wonderful experience for us also, interacting with you beautiful ladies. And we have a smiling Shanoli with us. This is small love and appreciation for you, Shanoli, from us. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Kavita and Sunanda ji and Career Beacon. I am really overwhelmed with this enriching session. So I also want to conclude with another quote, that is, journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So maybe this is the journey of our relationship that begins today from this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Sunanda, over to you.
Thank you, Shanoli ji, Ritu, and Raina for such a conclusion. I will not forget that Jency and Heena have not concluded. So I will give the opportunity to both of you. Let me start with Heena first. Heena, your views, words of wisdom on this particular series, and if you want to convey anything to all our viewers.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. As I said previously, also, thank you so much. I am also taking home a lot of things with me today. And what I would like to tell everyone is don't carry your mistakes around with you. Instead, place them under your feet and use them as them.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. Jinsi, I'm recently, I'm viewing so many positive comments. And in fact, thanks to Subbalakshmi for sharing your number and, conveying that, registering to it. At the same time, I would like to thank Bhavna Chadda, who has been a speaker last week. And she has ensured that she's referring one speaker, Ritu. Rena, your speaker details have come from multiple people. Shanoli, you two have come from a different perspective altogether. Ritu Yavden and Hina, thank you so much to Shanila for sharing your details and asking us to take you as a speaker. So this is, as someone was saying, that keep an attitude of gratitude. Thank yourself because you are here because somebody has recommended your name and they felt that you are having that potential to speak in such a platform. They have taken this opportunity further, and we would request the same from all of you. Please recommend a speaker because we keep on doing the series and we'll ensure that whomsoever you recommend, we blindly focus on that. Yes, he or she is the best person. So Jency, your wisdom words.
Yes, I would like to conclude with two of my favorite quotes. The first one from Winston Churchill: success is not final and failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. As I said, like what happens after we make a mistake can make history. And I would like to quote this proverb from Tamil, which says, "ஐந்தில் விளையாதது ஐம்பதில் விளையாது," which means when you're not able to correct your mistake when you're 5 year old, it's going to be impossible when you're 50. So this is the right time, and as teachers, we have to not keep them from making mistake, but to provide them the opportunity to try harder the next time. Thank you.
Thank you. And with this, let me go to Ritu. Ritu, I must say that you have brought a different perspective during the entire, episode, wherein you were giving a different perspective. Either it's in the learning style or in the midst of the facts. So, your words of wisdom for this.
See, my words of wisdom are only like I would like to see each and every gate of each school, like with a bulletin board over there, and it should be written, everyone who enters here will learn. Whether
Wow.
he is a slow learner or a fast learner, because learning means not being afraid to examine mistakes, and that teachers make, and encouraging students to think in ways that might produce mistakes. So use all those mistakes to be a positive person, to improve yourself, to feel good, and about individual progress, and still remaining in the society. So I would like to have this bulletin board everywhere, like in front of all the institutions. Everyone who enters here will learn, whether a teacher or a student.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. In fact, this is what we say to Career Beacon also, that your passion drives your career, and everyone who has contributed in any way, either as a written publication or as a speaker or a viewer or as a subscriber, they actually add on to it. And this is the last time that I'm actually requesting all the viewers who are there with us on the YouTube to please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, so that it can propel it more and it can impact people more and more. With this, we conclude today's series. And, today's episode has concluded. We are going to see you all with almost 35 plus speakers next week, that how to develop a growth mindset. Believe me, it's not only for the students, it's for the teacher, for the parents, for everyone. Growth mindset is something that is a need of the hour, and I'm sure the speakers who are going to come up will deliberate on the topic and will give you a great value add. Until then, myself and Kavita with all the beautiful speakers are signing off for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You.